Hi, I'm David Kessler. I want to thank you for joining me in this series about living with a loss after a loved one has died by suicide. It's really heartbreaking that you're here, and I'm sorry that you now have to deal with this, but I'm so glad you're doing something to help yourself. I'm a grief specialist. Many of you may know my work with Elizabeth Kubler-Ross or with Louise Hay, but I'm also a bereaved person myself. And this course is going to focus on the aftermath of a death by suicide. I'm not a prevention expert. This course is nothing about preventing a suicide. That's not my field at all. So please do not look for that in this course. This is for a situation where unfortunately your loved one has already died. And my hope is that prevention becomes so successful in the future, we don't need a course like this someday. I created this course because in my retreats and classes and workshops I do, I've noticed lost survivors of a suicide have such a challenging time. And I also think this is an important time. We're more open about this type of death than ever before. We're talking about it more openly. So this class that I've designed is for anyone who's had a loved one who's died by suicide. And if you're a professional who works with those who have had this type of loss, you're certainly welcome to watch also. Why this course? Because this type of loss, your loss, is so unique. I wanted to create something special for you. The reality is, the pain is always there. Sometimes I hear people going, oh, I don't want to watch that, or I don't want to go to that support group because it's too painful there. You've probably learned the reality is, this pain is in you. It's not in this class. It's not in the course. It's not in a support group. So that's why I'm glad you're here to really tend to it. And it's important we recognize healing does not mean forgetting. It means eventually in time remembering them with more love than pain. So this is a 3-segment series, and I'm hoping you'll really take time with it and pause it at times and really let the information simmer. I can remember there was one of the books that I wrote that a friend of mine said, oh, I read it in an afternoon, it was very basic. One, I know that person wasn't dealing with a loss at the time. But I think we're so used to binging things these days and going through them quickly that we really don't allow that information to simmer. I mean, sometimes people have told me, wow, I pondered that paragraph for a week. So really think about watching this and really thinking about how it applies to your life, not just being an observer, but connecting it. The reality is, this is thick, dense, intense material. And you know that because you have lived it. But it's worth doing it all the way and getting to the hope at the end. I broke this series into 3 parts because I think of it as the loss that happened is part 1. Part 2 is your response to the loss. And part 3 is your life after loss. And as I mentioned, this isn't going to be for everyone, and it's really been designed for people who have been through this. You may come up against something that triggers you. Remember, you can pause it, you can take a break, and also think about sometimes the triggers are the areas that need attention. Sometimes that's the part whether you take that trigger and go talk to a professional about it, or take a pause and really think about what's triggered you or why that's so painful. But sometimes it is a part of the loss that's asking for our attention. However, if it gets tough, just please pause, take a break, talk to someone about it. I don't want you to go in any more emotional pain because of this series. I'm often talking in this series to the next of kin, but of course this would apply to anyone whose loved one, family member, or friend who has died by suicide. So take what you need and leave the rest. We've all heard the horrible statistics about suicide. We know that there's now over 100 a day. About half of them occur with firearms. Men die more than women. There's more white males. And there's not one group that a death by suicide occurs in, and no group is exempt. And whenever you hear statistics about suicide or death by suicide, just remember, as you already know, your loved one is not a statistic. Your loved one is so much more than that. So, we know suicide is a complex psychological, social, biological, cultural, with environmental factors involved. Sometimes addiction is involved, sometimes mental illness is involved, and there's lots of confusion around all these factors coming together, and it's very hard to tease out which one factor caused a tragedy. So make the most of this course, set a specific time to do it, consider finding a support group to help you. There's many groups at grief.com, and there's also resources you'll find there. You'll be able to go back and look at these videos anytime you want. If you have any technical issues, you can reach out to us at info@grief.com. I hope you find this a healing experience. Let's get started.